Well, the thing that everybody doesn't know is that we are often naked together in the mornings
That's true.
via selfie. Andy and I take our ugly selfies in the morning and send them to each other very often. So this is nothing new to us.
Except for you have makeup on and
I have
my
makeup
hair's
on.
done and I have my glasses on. So
There. So.
Oh, wow. Well, Cheri, have I got the genitals for you?
If you've got an itch, Andy Vargo will scratch it. Welcome to Scrutiny with Cheri and Andy. I'm Cheri Hardman.
And I'm Andy Vargo.
And we're here to discuss all things with our own special brand of scrutiny. We have some interesting topics today. Andy picked one, I picked one. And I'm excited to chat. We don't talk usually about our topics with each other at all before. We just go for it. So every conversation we're having is like new and
it's
unscripted for sure.
It's unscripted. It just keeps it so authentic because we get the reactions, the immediate thoughts. So
that's how we do.
I'm excited. What do you got? You got some exciting stuff coming up, Cheri. What's going on with you?
Saturday night, the finals at Nate Jackson's Super Funny Comedy Club. So there are 11 of us in it now.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to just work our way down to we have one winner. One winner is getting $1,500 and a chance to do some gigs at the club and travel with Nate.
Do they also get a chicken dinner?
They should, shouldn't they?
They should. I guess with the $1,500, you could buy as many chicken dinners as you want. That's exciting. July 3rd, this Saturday, if you're in Tacoma, or if you're within about 4 hours, make the drive because it's worth it, and give Cheri some love and support.
And then Tuesday, I'm heading back to Vegas with my family this time.
Woohoo!
So, excited about that. And then when I come back, Essence Lounge. I'll be working the Essence Lounge on 6th Avenue, Comedy Grub, Kermit Apio's headlining. So that's going to be a great show.
That'll be a fun show.
What's going on with you?
I have got just a fun weekend lined up. I'm going to be out with BD Local at the Wings and Wheels on Sunday. They're doing the 4th of July weekend out there in Gig Harbor at the Tacoma Narrows Airport. That's a fun event. BD Local is broadcasting the what's going on with the pilots and all that kind of stuff. And then on next Wednesday, I'll be out at Cole Street Brewery in Enumclaw doing the show. I'll be hosting that. So that'll be a fun time.
I'm kind of bummed I'm going to miss that because I'll be out of town.
Yeah, that's a fun
If I wasn't out of town, I would have come up and watched you because you always come watch me, and that's a good room, and I like him. So
yeah. Brandon is an awesome guy. He's a good friend of both of ours in comedy, and just he's given us lots of
who's headlining that night?
I should know that. I need to double check. It's myself and Brock, and thank you for that.
All right.
No, it's awesome. I'm gonna pull up that flyer. Well, I'll do it later, but check it out. It's a fun room, and anyway, it's gonna be a good time.
Okay, cool. Well, that's exciting. You got some other stuff going on too. That's I know, like more personal appointments, one-on-one kind of things.
Yeah,
so things are really picking up for you there.
And a funny story. I actually had I had a discovery call with a potential new client yesterday, and I always ask, how'd you hear about me? Because it's kind of cool now. I'm just going through my day, and all of a sudden my phone will buzz and say, hey, you have an appointment. And so I have to be really diligent about, even if I'm hanging out with friends or if I have things planned, I have to block out that time on my calendar. And so this popped up that the next day I had an appointment. And so I said, hey, where did you find me? Because I never know where they're coming from a lot of times. And so she, this gal said, actually, I saw an old man wearing your t-shirt on a bus. And I was like,
Are you
that is
kidding me? That's
awesome.
fucking amazing.
I know. And she didn't look it up by then. She said a couple days later she was looking for coaching and then saw it again on my site and was like, oh my gosh. And the Own Your Awkward resonated. And so
Wow.
it was just, I was like, oh, that's so cool. That just made
That's
my
so
week.
cool.
So
Yeah. Wonder how old this man was.
well, that's true because age is very subjective.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's
so anyway,
cool.
yeah. And now I just want to know, I'm like, where's the dude on the bus? Like, I feel like I should go give him a ride somewhere or something. But anyway.
That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah.
Anything else we need to chat about before we dig in?
Nothing, like I don't have anything crazy new, except I did make a little purchase. I didn't tell you this yet, but I bought myself a kayak so I can get out and do some
Really?
upper body workout. And I thought, I was hemming and hawing about it the last couple of weeks, and I usually do that kind of thing, and then I don't do it, and then in October I say, damn, I wish I would have bought those kayaks. And
Right.
so now I can actually enjoy them this summer, and it was kind of a little gift to myself because I don't splurge on myself a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, you know
Well,
what?
that's
I'm gonna
cool.
do it. So
So is it like a one-person kayak
it's
or?
a one person, but I actually bought two so that I can have somebody go with me, because
That's cool.
I want to go out with people, and I don't want to limit who can go
Right.
based on who has something. And
Right.
they fold up like a tent, and I can stick them in my
Oh,
closet.
really?
Yeah. Yeah. Now that I'm not in there, there's a lot more room.
That's funny. Okay.
Anyway, I just had to share that. But I'm excited about today's topics.
Mm-hmm. Who's
I
going first? You want to go first, or do you want to save yours for last?
I don't know. I feel like yours is more saucy. Maybe we should save that for last. So our topics for today, I had thought we should talk about like trying to date as the pandemic's coming out, and like online dating or video dating and what that's like protocol, that kind of stuff. And you had a fun topic.
Yeah, I want to talk about full male frontal nudity in media. I'm not talking like dick pics. I'm talking about in movies. And I was inspired by a friend of ours, Carol Freeman, sent us a message to watch a certain episode of a certain show, which I did, and I've been thinking about penises ever since. So here we go.
And I haven't watched that yet. I need to. I think that might be tonight's viewing.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to hear the take. And the funny thing is, people who saw your topics when you posted what we were going to do would have probably may have guessed the opposite. Well, they might have guessed that I picked online dating if seeing those next to each other. But
okay.
So I don't know.
Go ahead. You talk.
Okay. So I just thought it'd be interesting to bring up kind of what it's like to try to date. Right now, it's really weird because I've had some video dates, right? Like in during the pandemic, where it's like, hey, let's at least chat. And the thing with online chatting, it opens up a realm that kind of takes the geography away. So that's kind of nice. You can get to know people, you can talk to people the same way that we've all probably connected with people in different parts of the world in the last year that we otherwise might not have if we weren't forced into an online presence. So that's all really cool because it opens up this variety. However, if you're really going to try to seriously date somebody, that's not going to last long distance for very long. So you have to date. But I've even had gone on some virtual dates with people who were, in the same town. And after I did the first couple, it was kind of fine. And, you chat and whatever. But then I started having some ideas about how to make it more fun. Like maybe you could both order takeout from the same restaurant or from the same type of restaurant. Like we're both going to get Thai food and then eat Thai food together and light a candle and pour some wine, whatever. You could send flowers to the other person's address so they have them when the date starts. Especially because these are things you could do, if you're husband and wife and, one of you travels a lot for work or is, you're separated for some reason, like deployed or something. Because I try to think, how do you make this more creative and more fun? Or do you both go for a walk in the park and kind of show each other what's around you? Or but what's interesting now is everyone's in a different stage of their comfort level on getting back to in-person life. And so I think it's really interesting because in one way, when you're dating, it's all about getting to know people and finding what you're both comfortable with anyway. And when you have this added element of everybody having different levels of comfort in going out, in one way, if someone's not on the same comfort level, you may rule them out faster because you need to be in the same way of thinking as far as how you're going to approach the world. But it also kind of forces you to get to know that person a little bit more because you're pushed into some boundaries that you wouldn't otherwise encounter. You know, otherwise you might go on a date and then you're like, well, should we jump in the lake afterwards? And someone's like, I'm not big into that. And, you know, someone else is like, oh, let's, you know, whatever. Does that, I don't know if that makes sense. I'm kind of rambling at this point.
No, it does make sense. And it's like, you know, of course I'm not dating, so I don't have that to think about. But like, even when I'm out now and I'm, you know, I'm immunized, so I'm maskless, and I'll be sitting next to someone and wondering, like, I wonder if they're vaccinated too, or if they're just the kind of person that doesn't care and just goes around with no mask on. So
Right.
You don't know. So there's that, because you don't really want to ask people because it's kind of personal. So I don't know.
Yeah.
There's all that weirdness, you know. But I am enjoying hugging people and touching people again. I don't know about you, but I'm hugging people that I wouldn't normally hug, and I'm hugging them. Like, I hugged Quentin Jones for quite a while last night. He felt pretty nice, warm, and squishy. And I know he's not going to like that description, but it just felt good to like hug somebody that wasn't, you know.
Yeah, I get what you mean. I think that
So I wonder, though, hang on. So I wonder if that's making people be a little more whorish right now. Because like, oh, we can touch people again. I don't know.
Right. Like, let's go for it. Well, because I think that is one thing that we really learned to value in the last year was human connection. And on any level, right? It could be hugging, it could be just being in the same room and seeing smiles, but the physical connection is huge, and that it does release, you know, I don't remember which of the
endorphins.
the endorphins in your brain. I know there's like dopamine, and there's good ones and bad ones, and I always forget which ones do which, but it's good, and it actually, you know, I think it's almost like a flood of that now is happening because it's like you're almost on overdosing on it because we can do it again, and it's been repressed for so long. And like, I know for myself, and I'm, you know, I've been working the whole time, so I didn't really get to that place of paranoia of being out. I mean, I was nervous different times, but I didn't get to the point where it was like, I never got to where I only stayed inside. So I didn't, so it wasn't as hard for me to go back out into the world. So for me, if I try to go on a date with somebody and they're really not willing to, I'm just kind of like, I don't know that I'm ready to wait for you to come along to that place. Outside of, you know, if I know that someone has some extenuating circumstances, that might be different where there's a big reason for it. But if it's just a nervousness, I'm just like, I don't know. I'm like, I'm ready to not be video chatting. I don't mind that for a first. It's kind of nice because it actually opens up the acceptance of doing that as a first interaction anyway. Because I feel like like we talked about last time, there's the screening date and then there's the actual first date. And now we can kind of do those screening dates on the Zoom. I could leave home. I could start the date without pants on instead of waiting to end the date without pants on. Just saying.
I'm doing this show without pants on right now. I really am. But
nice.
That's interesting because, you know, at first Zoom was really awkward for all of us because we weren't used to doing that. But now I have quite a good comfort level with it. And I communicate on it even maybe when I don't have to. So I think dating wise, it probably is a really good way to screen and get to know somebody a little bit more.
I think it's funny because I don't remember when it was it probably May or so when we kind of got to where we did our first video call.
Yeah.
And it was like, I guess we're going to have to talk on video. We can't wait to be in person anymore. It might not have even been that long. That seems like it was too long, but it was kind of like, okay, well, this was nice to actually catch up and actually chat with you in person,
Mm-hmm.
or as in person as we could get at the time.
Right. Yeah.
But
That was weird because I wasn't around people for pretty much a year. So,
yeah. Now I will say I had one video date that I did with a guy, and he showed up without a shirt on. And
Mm.
I thought he was a good looking guy, and he had a nice looking chest and everything, but I just thought I wouldn't show up to a date without a shirt on. And it just seemed like to me, it brought it down a level. It kind of cheapened it, where it's like, okay, I wasn't trying to video chat with you sexually. I was trying to.
but yeah, because then you
actually
wonder, does he not, is it only the shirt that's missing, or is there more? And is there going to be a surprise here in a minute?
Right. Well, and also I felt like, if you wouldn't go out, and there are people who are just very comfortable like that too, and who just come home and don't wear a shirt. So, but it just kind of threw me, and we had a fine enough conversation, but it wasn't like, just kind of fizzled out after that. But I don't know. I don't know if you have good rules for if you get into a video date, are there taboo things like, show up with clothes on? That seems like that should happen. Another thing for me is, and this is kind of with Zoom too, and this is the same frustration even on phone calls when there's a lot of background distractions.
Mm-hmm.
When you're really trying to have a conversation with somebody, I like when it's.
And they're walking around with their phone.
Oh yeah, that's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one thing if you have to like, hey, we've been on a call for an hour and I have to, go grab something in the kitchen or whatever. But when it's just a constant,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of people have, get car sick or have things where that really affects them, or you get a migraine, but it's just so distracting.
Right.
So I just wanted to bring that to the forefront. So that's because I've had a couple video dates this week because I chatted with a guy who's not from our area, and it was a really great conversation. But then you have to have that in the back of your mind of, okay, is it great enough that you're going to try to pursue something that's not even, that you can drive to in an hour, or is this maybe just a good friend that you're going to be friends with, and maybe that's all, and which is fine because I have friends all over the country and all over the world, and it's great to catch up with them, and you just know it's not going to go anywhere because of that. I don't know.
Right.
So
I don't know. The more I listen to you talk about dating, the more that I'm glad I don't have to. Like I thought it was fun back in the day, but oh my God, there's so many things you have to think about. And then like all the times that you get yourself into a situation and you realize right away it's just not going to work, and then you got to make your graceful exit, which is hard when you're like, like we're nice people.
Yeah.
We don't want to be jerks about stuff, but yeah.
That is tough because you care about people's feelings, and you don't want to, there are people who would just, and I have ghosted some people, especially if they haven't taken a hint. I mean, I haven't always done it as gracefully as I'd like. I'm not saying I'm perfect at it, but you do want to consider people's feelings and not just say, oh, it's not going to work. I still haven't found the best way to do that. So maybe that's a good topic for
it's hard.
Our next show.
I'll tell you, I'm not sure, like, in your world, but in my world, I was a person that if I wasn't attracted to a guy, I would tell them like that I wasn't interested, and they would always want to know why.
Yeah.
And I would say, I don't find you physically attractive.
Mm-hmm.
And they would get really mad. They always got mad.
Yeah, people get really offended by that. I tend to say something like, I just don't really feel the chemistry. Because I've had people who've said they're not attracted to me, or I have people I have not been attracted to, or I've heard them say that about other people. And I get it, because for everybody who's attracted to you, there are other people who are not, and that's okay. And so when someone says they're not attracted to you, it doesn't mean that you're ugly. And that's, I think, what is unfortunate is people take it that way, that if that person's not attracted to me, then they're saying I'm ugly. And I look at it like food. Like some people like Chinese food, some people like Italian food, some people like sweet, some people like savory. You can't explain what you like it's
or
more
why
kind
you
of
like it.
for
Yeah.
why you like it. Yeah, it's just there, and it doesn't mean
Re-
that you hate all the other stuff or that you
Well,
hate
and
people who like it.
I always felt like people would say, I don't like people that play games. Why can't you just be honest? But when I was honest, it wasn't appreciated. I mean,
Yeah.
I tried to say stuff in a nice way. I got my share of rejection too, of course, but
Right. We all do. The
mhm,
worst thing though is that when you get in that place where you're really interested in somebody and they are not interested in you back, but then they're interested in somebody, like there's that triangle of like
uh-huh,
like I don't know that it's any worse to be the one interested in somebody who isn't interested back in you. I don't think that's necessarily any worse of a spot than to be the one who someone is so interested in and you don't return it, because either way there's letdown, and it's a weird
right,
spot to be in. But
right.
so,
Okay.
but you have a much more interesting topic.
I don't know about that, but this has always been something I've been interested in talking about because, when you're watching movies, I'm
Mhm.
talking mainstream, I'm not talking porn, I'm just saying mainstream movies, you see naked women all the time, but you rarely see full frontal male nudity. You see a lot of men butts, but you don't see the other side. And so Carol sent us an episode a recommendation, and the show is called what? Love, Sex, or
Sex Life, I think.
Love, or Sex Life?
Yeah,
Yeah,
on
on
Netflix.
Netflix, episode 3. So I watched episode 1 and 2 because
Yeah,
that's
you
just
can't. You
how I
gotta.
am. I didn't want. You don't really, if you're just looking, you don't really have to do that. You could just jump into 3 and you'll know what's going on. But yeah, wow. So be sure to take a look at that. But so I started looking up because I've always wondered, well, I've always had my theories about why do we see naked women, but we don't see naked men?
hmm
Now, what would your guess be? Like why that is? Like one reason why you think is probably.
Well, I think it's an easy answer is that because the people who originally were making movies were more dominated by men, so they were putting more of that in and left that out.
Right.
But
And that has to do with like, have you heard of the male gaze?
no.
GAZE, by the way. And, yeah. And the male gaze is like in a movie when they bring a woman into the love interest or whatever, how they scan her body. It's from the perspective of a male, scanning
Oh, I see.
over a woman's body in great detail.
The way it's videographed isn't from the perspective of a man.
And it's as if she's an object rather than a person. Like when they talk about this, they often show a scene from Transformers, which I've never seen. And the female, whatever her name is,
Bumblebee.
doesn't matter. She's like working on a car or something. The guy's talking to her. She's telling someone is calling me from a 425 area. Who would that be? But anyway,
I think it's funny because right before the show started, I said, I'm going to go ahead and mute my phone so that I don't get distracted.
Muted, but it just showed up.
And you said, I appreciate that. Sorry. It's just the irony.
Well,
that
nobody
your phone
ever
going
calls me. And like, right now, really?
Right.
Don't you know what I'm doing? No, but anyway, so
Apparently
as
they're not watching.
she's talking about her life in this movie, and it doesn't show her face. It shows the pan of her body, the male gaze.
Oh.
And most movies, you're correct, are made by men and produced by men and are from a male perspective. So part of that is that. And here's the thing. That's why we don't, maybe if we have a movie made by a woman, we might have that over a man. But usually there's not, they'll show him down to here or from the back, but you don't usually even see the penis then. And then a lot of it is, if they do show a penis, it's usually either as a joke because it's really small, or as a spectacle because maybe it's really big, and that's usually a prosthetic, like in Boogie Nights.
Oh, I haven't seen that. I'm gonna add that to my movie list.
They talked about the penis in this movie for months and years. So
Okay.
usually anybody that's interested in penises, that all watch Boogie Nights.
Okay, I will watch
Gotta watch that movie. It's really
Boogie
good.
Nights.
It's one of my favorite all-time movies, but there is a penis in there. Apparently it was prosthetic, but can't really tell. You can just pretend it's real. So, you know, the penis is always one way or the other. And I guess also, you know, there's the phallus, which is an upright idea of a penis. And then there's your average everyday inside your pants, just dangling around kind of penis. And the phallus is powerful, and your day-to-day penis, especially like when you get out of the pool or something's not that powerful. And I think men want it to be seen in that state.
That could be.
Typically.
Well,
You know?
and you know, Tara made a good point that a lot of people don't want to see a penis. Like, and there is that Seinfeld episode where they talk about the male body being very utilitarian versus the female body being very beautiful. And also, I think that even if women were making a movie, you'd have to be a certain type of woman, because most women, just generally speaking, I'm told, are not as visually you know, focused sexually. Like, that's not where the stimulation comes from. So they may not.
But were you watching a movie? Are you really trying to be stimulated? Or are you watching a movie, and if somebody gets out of the shower, they're naked? Why are we only seeing the woman naked, not the man? I mean, it's just.
No, it doesn't make sense to me that it's not balanced. I do agree that it should be balanced. And I think that sometimes by making things taboo, we actually make them a bigger issue than what they should be.
Well, and here's the other thing is that men don't want to see another man's penis. A lot of times that's rooted in homophobia.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing, I saw a study that said men who are homophobic, and this will come as no surprise, men who are homophobic registered when they evaluated them, probably using a plethysmograph or whatever that thing's called. They registered more arousal when they showed the penis.
I've seen some studies like that where, where people who identified less accepting of gayness or of gays or whatever, like homophobic, would actually, it was probably because of they're insecure about that.
Right. And so there's a lot of that. The one thing I read was, it said that as far as children go, that they actually found that nudity at home, just like comfortability with nudity in your home, actually benefits kids. But because of the lack of that, once kids hit like 5 years old, they pretty much have concluded that genitals are shameful and that they're like that's like a no-no.
Yeah.
So
by 5. Well, one of the things I was going to, and I think that's a lot of prep for getting them ready for school. Like, that's kind of the cutoff. Before your kids go to kindergarten, they need to know they can't share, touch, you know, like, I think that probably has a lot to do with why that is. And when you were talking too, I was starting to think, because there's two ways to go with this. One is, do you show more men or do you show less women? You know, like, because there are those who are like, why do we have to see anything?
Well, I think, is it gratuitous nudity, or is it part of the story?
Right.
So anyway, I made a list. And the other thing I just want to say, when kids are small, like, you know, I bathed with my boys up to a certain point.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's kind of where that cutoff comes in. It's kind of like when they start noticing what you've got compared to what they've got. And then it
feels weird.
Yeah, it feels weird. You just don't want to be. So I compiled a list of some movies that do have male frontal nudity.
Okay.
Some of these I didn't ever watch, so I don't know. And some of them I did, but I can't remember. So, and here's another point. Like the first one on the list was Harvey Keitel in Bad Lieutenant. Who wants to see Harvey Keitel naked?
Who's Harvey
oftentimes,
Keitel?
well, look him up. You're not going to want to see him naked. Well, maybe you will. I don't know. But no, let me find him. But it's often a person that I would not find so it's kind of, I don't know, comical, not comical, but just, okay, here's Harvey Keitel. Let me screen share real quick.
I try to control my reaction. Since I'm on camera.
Okay, that's Harvey Keitel.
Oh, I'm familiar with that guy. I've seen him in some stuff.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's not really somebody you'd want to, ooh, Harvey Keitel's naked. But anyway, in the movie Bad Lieutenant, Harvey Keitel's naked. Vincent Gallo in The Brown Bunny, that was a very controversial film.
I don't know who
seen
that is. I'll have to look up Vincent Gallo too.
I don't know if you know James McAvoy. I don't, but he was naked in The Last King of Scotland.
Okay.
Ray Fiennes in A Bigger Splash. I might like to see him naked.
I haven't known any of these actors yet.
It's because you don't know anything, Andy, when it comes to pop culture. Viggo Mortensen, I don't even know if that's how you say his name. Eastern Promises, naked in that. Ben Affleck.
Yeah, I'm familiar with Ben Affleck. Yes, I know who he is.
Thank God. Gone Girl, naked. Jason Segel, one of my favorite naked movie scenes, Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Have you ever seen that movie?
No. Who was the actor?
Jason Segel.
He's
he's on How I Met Your Mother. But the whole first scene, he's buck naked and getting broken up from his girlfriend. She's breaking up with him while he's naked. It is hilarious. It's the first 5 minutes of the movie.
And it's called, what was it called again?
Forgetting Sarah Marshall. It's actually a great, light-hearted.
I think I've seen it pop up in my Netflix queue.
Yeah. Mark Wahlberg in Boogie Nights, which I already mentioned.
Yeah.
Kevin Bacon in Wild Things.
Okay. I know who Kevin Bacon is.
Richard Gere in American Gigolo.
I haven't seen that movie. Well, I haven't seen Wild Things either. I don't think I've seen any of these.
Jude Law in The Talented Mr. Ripley.
Okay, I haven't seen that.
Brokeback Mountain, one of them was naked in Brokeback Mountain. I'm sure you've seen that.
But did they actually show? I don't know that they actually showed.
Yeah, there was a penis. That's according to my list. And one of my favorites was also in the movie Sex and the City too. There was some amazing full frontal male nudity in that.
Sex and the City too.
Well, it was kind of lame compared to Sex and the City movie, but there was a nice scene, a shower scene actually. So
okay. Well, and there's also a TV show. Well, Mrs. Maisel, there was a scene.
Was there?
That when they were painting, like they were in art, yeah.
Oh, a model, like a painting model or whatever.
Yeah. But it just surprised me because I'm watching this Netflix movie or show and I just wasn't expecting it. But I also forget that, she flashes the audience in the beginning. So,
I would just like it to be just normal, like it's not a big deal. Like I didn't have to make a list of where you can find naked penises, which is funny because, like you said, I don't know that women really like to look at penises, but like a nice penis in a naked scene and a love scene in a movie might be nice. And then that's the other thing is like, they can't be having too much fun in the movie. Otherwise, you're kind of crossing a line. So
right. Yeah. And that could be too, because depending on how much arousal there is, it probably classifies it as porn at that point.
Right. But a nice, a nice naked penis on a warm day, not on a cold day, on a warm day, can be kind of attractive.
Like this, it's like you're ordering a bottle of wine. I'd like something with this kind of vibe. I'm not really sure I don't mind whatever color, red, white, whatever. Just.
Yeah. Well, and then we could talk about the whole whether it's circumcised or not thing, but that's a whole nother topic. So the other thing that I wanted to bring up is that I haven't seen a dick pic in probably since that student sent me a dick pic. So if you'd like your no, if you'd like your penis to be featured, no, I'm just kidding. So. All right, we've talked about what we got coming up. We're at 44 minutes or less.
And so is there anything, are you watching any of these reality shows? I know when we started, we had some reality stuff going on. Is there much going on in that world? I'm just curious about that.
Mostly in the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I think I told you about Erica Jane last time.
Yeah.
And her husband getting caught like stealing from his clients.
Mm-hmm.
And it's looking to me more like she didn't really know.
Okay.
But I don't know. I can't say yet. They have showed some clips of him while they're doing this up. So they're spinning the narrative at least of showing times when he's been kind of curt and cruel to her on camera.
Okay.
Kind of making that side of but as of the show, we don't know yet on the show.
Okay.
About the lawsuits and the money.
Oh, right, because we know this in real time, but the show's still getting
right. So she knows she's just filed for divorce
on the show
from him, but that's all we know. So it's kind of weird when you know more about what's going on than what you're seeing, you know.
It's interesting, you know, when you watch a movie that is something based in history, like Titanic, where you know the boat's gonna sink, you know, almost everybody died. Like there are these things like this where you're just like, this is so weird to watch this and know how it plays out. And sometimes you even know what happens to the specific characters you're watching if it's about someone.
Right.
And it's such a bizarre feeling because even while you're watching the show, you still have hopes that they'll get through or happen. And that's not always the case, but it's interesting how the cinema can take us on that ride.
Well, even the other day I was watching, sometimes I do these kind of deep dives on YouTube and I end up watching weird stuff like, you know, old episodes of Oprah or a documentary. And I was watching a documentary about the Concordia, like a few years ago, a ship that sunk and several people died. But it was cell phone footage that people were taking of their crews and stuff. And as it progressed and the way things, I had to finally quit watching it because it was so disturbing because it was real.
Yeah.
You know, and you could see like the boat lurching and kids crying and so
when you know that it's not a reenactment, that just
it was too much. And you know me, I could handle a lot of gore and stuff like that, but that was just, it was heartbreaking, you know.
Well, and I've kind of gotten to the place with certain things where I feel like I don't need to put it in my head to have the sympathy for it or to know. Like when there's these videos of tragic things happening in the world that are going viral on YouTube, it's like, I don't need to watch someone die. I don't need to watch something brutal to know that there's things that are bad in the world. And it doesn't mean that I'm turning a blind eye to it. It's just, that's kind of my way of respecting that person too, of letting them, I don't want to sensationalize whatever happened to them either. But but especially when it's a movie, it feels like you're there. That's intense.
Yeah, well, you know, the thing that got me was this father is telling his kids, "Oh, don't worry." It's like I felt like, come on, you got to validate their feelings. Don't tell, like it's obvious it's not okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. Why he said, "Why are you crying?" And I was like, "Oh my god."
Right. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So anyway, all right, let's leave it on a happy note. So
leave it on a happy note. So big contest this weekend. That's going to be exciting, and we're going to have some fun topics for next week. Do we know what they are? Should we want to come up with some?
I've been thinking about a few, like you know, mine are a little more not as as yours, but they're like, I've been thinking about, why are people so interested in true crime?
Yes.
Like, why are there so many? This is what I don't understand a lot of times is like, I know so many people that watch serial killer documentaries and podcasts. And I think like a lot of the #1 podcasts are all true crime related. But
Mhm.
you know how sometimes like I do my serial killer bit
Right.
and just get dead air. And it's like, oh, come on, I know you guys
Right.
are watching this stuff. So I don't
No people are into it. So
yeah.
where's the disconnect? Well, and it's also like, I mean, we could almost do that with so many different things where it's like, why are people so into watching certain things with like reality TV, where it's anything about relationships or drama, people love watching.
Uh-huh.
And so, yeah, that's a good topic. I think,
Well, I think it's a certain type of person that really likes true crime. And I actually talked to Anne Rule about that once in person. So,
wow,
yeah, so we
interesting.
could talk
Well, I
about
look
that.
forward to that conversation.
I've also thought about whether people believe in whether the things about zodiac signs are accurate or if it's just a bunch of hooey.
Okay.
So I've just been thinking about some topics. What have you been thinking about?
Well, I've been thinking a lot lately about, well, just because, I'm single and I'm in this place where I'm kind of dating, but kind of looking into dating, but kind of also sometimes giving up on it. And so one of the things that's just been on my mind is like, are we sometimes convincing ourselves that we're happy single, or are we actually okay? Like, how much do you really need connection, like on that one-on-one level? So I've had that in the back of my mind. I think one thing is, where's the right balance between searching and trying to find something versus just letting something happen and fate? Like, that's another thing.
Right.
So I got a few things around that area that have been stewing around in the back of my mind. And also, um, what's an appropriate amount of time to leave open to hold that space for something when you're trying to grow a business and grow your career, but you also don't want to be that person that just is so focused on work and entrepreneurship that you leave life behind, because that's a huge
Right.
part of it.
But when you're really focused on something and excited about your business or whatever, it's hard sometimes to like leave room for anything. So
Yeah, it is.
mhm.
So
All right. Well, we were supposed to have Todd Royce on this week, and he had to cancel. Next week, I will not be here. I will be in Viva Las Vegas.
yeah, that's gonna be awesome. This is gonna be 2 weeks out.
So yeah, so on the 15th, we'll be back. So if you have any ideas that you would like us to cover,
Email Scrutiny with Cheri and Andy at gmail.com.
isn't that a great email address, Andy?
I think that is so awesome. It's unique.
Spectacular.
I don't think anybody's ever going to try to steal it. And also next week, because we won't be here and you're going to be lonely at this time next week, please take that time to watch all the episodes you haven't watched yet. And while you're at it, give them a like, thumbs up, share them with your friends, put a comment in there, all that good stuff. Because
sure.
You've got 2 weeks now to get caught up. We're on 11, so we're going to come back with the Dirty Dozen episode.
Ooh. Yeah, and we need to schedule a drunken episode. Tara said she would wrangle us if we needed a wrangler.
All right.
So we got some ideas coming up. So.
And I have a special guest that I'm going to reach out to try to get on.
Oh yeah.
Special surprise guest.
Okay, cool.
All right.
So
enjoy your day, everyone.
Yeah. Bye-bye. I clicked the thing and it didn't go away. Let me try it again.